The candidates for November are set.
I know Donald Trump's type.
Between now and Election Day,
we are not going back.
A campaign season unfolding faster.
Kamala Harris is not getting a promotion
Than any in recent history.
Make America great again.
Follow it all with new episodes every weekday on the NPR Politics Podcast.
Are you enjoying this podcast? Well, you have KUOW members to thank for that. KUOW members make the trusted local journalism and storytelling you hear on this show possible. Become a member today and help support the production of this podcast. It only takes a minute. Make a donation at KUOW.org or follow the link in the show notes. And thanks.
You're listening to Soundside. I'm Libby Denkman. Ah, yes, the sound of mobility. That's Sound Transit's Link Light Rail pulling into the newly opened Shoreline South Station on Friday. Riders, aka transit nerds, packed trains to see 4 new stations on the one line, which now stops in Shoreline, Mountlake Terrace, and Lynnwood. At the 148th Street station, Shoreline celebrated the occasion with a marching band, speeches, and bubble machines. The suburb has been planning for this moment for years. That's apparent when you step off the train. Across I-5 from the station, new apartment buildings are going up. Townhomes line a couple blocks near Meridian Avenue. There's also roadwork to add larger sidewalks and traffic-calming roundabouts. The city is encouraging density and building infrastructure to support more pedestrians. And this is an effort most every city in the state is struggling with right now. I caught up with Shoreline's mayor, Chris Roberts, to talk about the changes and how the city looked ahead to capitalize on new train stops.
The state in this country is in a housing crisis. And so these light rail stations have encouraged, and the cities themselves have encouraged development to happen around these stations. We're standing here right across from the 148th Street station, and looking in front of me are a whole bunch of new apartment complexes. I mean, 70-foot buildings, and then beyond that, rows of townhomes that were not here 10 years ago. The city council had a vision that we wanted to build density around and to allow density around these stations. And so the council was bold about a decade ago and adopted a comprehensive plan that would allow this type of development. And so now we're seeing this with thousands of new housing units being built in Shoreline and then more in Lynnwood and Mountlake Terrace.
What were those conversations like? Because you were elected in 2009, right? Was when you first joined the council. And that was around the time that the light rail had been approved by voters. You knew it was going to be coming through Shoreline, then Mountlake Terrace and Lynnwood. What were the initial conversations like when you were talking about changing the zoning around these stations?
Our first conversations were really thinking about what we wanted as a city, what our vision should be. We really wanted to make sure that we would be good stewards of the environment, which for us meant preserving open space and trees out on the eastern part of the urban growth boundary. And to do that, we said we would accept new development and new neighbors here in Shoreline. I want to see these places to be very vibrant, with people coming here and working here and shopping here and even having a drink here. So these are areas and neighborhoods that are active maybe not 24 hours a day, but all day long.
And I think that, change is hard for a lot of people. And in a single family area, like much of Shoreline is, I imagine that there was pushback. How did you kind of try to allay some of the concerns of people who said, I moved to Shoreline because it's a quiet, single family kind of neighborhood. And all of a sudden we've got apartments, townhomes, building up, these new upzoned areas. What kind of conversations did you have with community members? What pushback did you see, and how did you try to allay those concerns?
Well, we worked carefully with the community in terms of designing where density would occur. Our first initial discussions were even bigger and broader than what actually came about. And so we were able to scale things back because of community concerns. And I think that we came up with a product and a comprehensive plan that maybe not everyone agrees with, but the majority of the city agreed with. After those plans were adopted, every single council member who sought re-election until this past cycle was re-elected.
So that gives you sort of that idea that people saw what you did and were supportive and sort of gave you a mandate to continue to think this way when it came to density. I know the state of Washington the legislature passed last year, HB 1110, the upzoning missing middle housing bill. And for a city like Shoreline, it's basically forcing you to allow duplexes everywhere and fourplexes near transit. Is that affecting you right now? Is this, it seems like what you've been doing upzoning near the transit stations kind of got you ahead of the game in that sense.
Yes, and we still have work to do to make sure we have middle housing and more different types of housing options throughout the city. We are working through our comprehensive plan right now, and we are figuring out how we're going to implement 1110. And I think a majority of this council is still committed to this vision of a shoreline that is vibrant, and we were going to allow more housing choices throughout the city. We are looking at especially areas around off of 145th and off of Highway 99 to allow even sixplexes off those corridors. So I think that's a conversation that we're having with the council right now, but my sense with this council, of my colleagues who are fabulous, are all committed to this vision of not only making sure we implement 1110, but going beyond what 1110 says we have to do.
Is there anything in this process of implementing your plans around light rail that other municipalities around the state could learn from as they are trying to meet these new mandates for upzoning?
I would say that new neighbors are good. Making sure there's more housing available that's affordable is good. These are good things for the region. And I would say that council members just need to be bold in their vision that when it comes to all the benefits that housing provides, it brings new jobs. It brings new businesses to these communities. It provides more eyes on the street. These are all good things that communities want. We had some residents who came in to our council meeting a month ago saying that they were a little bit concerned about the implementation of 1110. And some of their concerns were around, we don't have enough sidewalks in the city. There's no place to shop in their neighborhoods. When you have greater densities, we have more people for businesses to serve, and just the more things are going to happen. I look at the Ridgecrest Public House, which is right across from the Crest Theater here in Shoreline. And that was in a space that was very few people visited. They came, we had more people, more housing units being built in the city, and they survived because that owner was able to grow her business because there were so many people around.
And now there's a bookstore right there.
And now there's a bookstore.
It's pretty promising, like little kind of shoots of these commercial centers developing. I know right now for this station, the 148th station, there's not a ton of commercial planned. What do you see as the future of these areas around light rail? Do you suspect that there could be development down the line that includes, a grocery store or something like that?
That's what we want. We want to see businesses come to Shoreline. I think that Shoreline is a very promising place for people to do business. What the council did was last year we adopted an ordinance that requires ground floor commercial in all the new buildings. So we will have those retail establishments here. Once one business gets here and survives, then the next business and the next business are going to come and say, hey, not only do I believe that Shoreline is a great place to do business, the business owners will know because their businesses are thriving.
Let me ask you about that sidewalk situation, because there are lots of parts of Shoreline that are sidewalk challenged, if I may say so. Some people were unhappy with the fact that a lot of trees had to be cut down on 145th to widen sidewalks there. I've also seen comments criticizing roundabouts that are being built to address traffic issues around the stations. Growth is always going to be contentious, like we've talked about. Change is hard for any community. Making an area pedestrian friendly is always going to be difficult. What do you say to people who are concerned about that type of change in this corridor?
I think most of the residents of Shoreline want to see more sidewalks. They want to feel safer going about their lives. And what roundabouts do, what sidewalks do, is help prevent crashes. It helps make people feel safe to walk around their neighborhoods. people want to be able to go to their neighborhood park. People want to be able to go to their neighborhood grocery store. People need to feel safe in their community. And sidewalks and roundabouts and other traffic calming measures make it safer and more pedestrian oriented.
Anything else you want to add, Mayor, about what's going on and what you're looking forward to?
Well, I would say I have a 13-year-old and his friends are looking forward to light rail and being able to explore our region. And I think that's one of the greatest things, is that being old enough and responsible enough to go and actually take a day trip to downtown Seattle or getting up to Lynnwood. There is so much freedom that kids, well, everyone has by having light rail open up and not having to worry about being stuck in I-5 traffic.
Thank you, Mayor Chris Roberts of Shoreline. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. This show is only possible because listeners support us. If you're able to give right now, please check out the show notes for a link to donate. And don't forget, you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m., Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org.
Hi there, I'm Monica Guzman, host of A Braver Way podcast and your guide across the political divide. Are you done with the divisiveness in our politics and ready to do something about it? This season, we've partnered with KUOW to reach more listeners like you. Join me as I sit down with guests from across the political spectrum. Together, we'll share tools, insights, and messy, real-life stories to help you face this election year without losing heart. Listen to A Braver Way now on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.